had enough people asking me what's going on that I'm taking some time to update. I'm running a few errands because they've given us a couple hours where we don't have to be near our bomb shelters. They did say that if sirens go off, this is different than usual. Usually we have to go into our bomb shelters, stay there about 10 minutes, give enough time in case they blow something up that was fired at us. There'll be enough time for the pieces to fall to the ground, and that's about 10 minutes. In this case, they said when you go in and the sirens sound, you stay in there until we tell you you can come out, because we don't know how intensive the firing is going to be. Our last round, I believe, was in October from Iran. There was some 200 ballistic missiles, and when I say ballistic missiles, I think most people don't understand how big these things are. They're bigger than buses, and we've had pieces fall inside of our borders after they were blown up, and just the pieces were as big as a bus. So I'm actually going to one of our facilities to close up the bomb shelter window in case even just the explosion creates a, I don't know what you call it in English, a hedif, and cracks the glass. But it's definitely, everything was very tense yesterday, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, we had an alert on our phones, and it's the first time they've actually used this system to make sure that everybody was aware that the rules have changed. There was supposed to be lots of parties in Tel Aviv this weekend. It is Gay Pride Month, and the Pride Parade and all that was canceled. Because of, I'm sorry, I'm thinking in Hebrew because I listen to all the news in Hebrew and I'm trying to translate in English, but everything's been canceled. Synagogues, any kind of gathering, everything's been canceled. We had a live worship event planned this week on a rooftop in Tel Aviv. It's going to be so cool. And that has been delayed probably till September because some of our worship team members are going to be abroad. Our drummer is stuck outside the country. Some of our staff have been called up to fight, and so that has also been canceled. My daughter, who is in air defense, her base has been evacuated because they're expecting the air defense bases to be targeted by Iran. So far, they've sent over 100 drones. The drones did not make it into Israeli airspace. They also sent some missiles because there are some pieces that fell in Syria. So there's a lot of other stuff going on that I'm not necessarily sure what's public info or not. So we'll share later after the fact. But this is very, very tense time. Israel said this is not a military operation. This is a planned war. Some of the stuff that they pulled off is literally, we don't need to watch science fiction movies anymore, because all you need to do is find out what the Mossad did and what our special forces did and what our Air Force did just in the last few hours and in the last few years preparing for this. And it's just unbelievably incredible, unbelievably risky. And, you know, one of the things that's interesting is that the war here with Iran is different than the war in Gaza and Hezbollah, because in Gaza, the people have been infested with hatred for Israel. They've been indoctrinated, they've been raised in extreme propaganda against Israel. And so, you know, when you try to get intelligence on what's happening in Gaza, like where are the hostages and whatever, for some 2 years, they have not been able to get the public there to help us find them. There's been very, very little intelligence that we've been able to go in and gather, but really because the population is so against us. You know, when you say innocent civilians, it's very different in Gaza, because so many civilians are actually actively supporting and involved in, were involved in October 7th, were involved in kidnapping other Israeli civilians. And so what's different in Iran is the population is actually not against Israel. It's the government that is against Israel, and the government that is convinced that Israel is the little Satan and America is the big Satan, and all that needs to be destroyed. And so really, really interesting the way all this has been going on. And even the news in Israel was part of the operation for the surprise attack that happened this morning, early in the morning, because for the past several days and maybe weeks, they've just been headlining all sorts of stuff that wasn't actually happening. They'd say, like the government's getting together to talk about, the hostage release negotiations, and, the U.S. has come to Israel to try to work out some sort of plan and negotiating, and actually what they were doing was sitting and having meetings about the planned attack. And so, like I said, it's a straight up movie, and so far we've been extremely successful. So obviously the mood in Israel is very, maybe frustrated that kind of your daily plans. My daughter is having a royal meltdown because she had all sorts of plans this weekend and she can't go, and she's like, but my kids were raised in war, and they know that this is the way it works. Sometimes we have fun, and sometimes we hunker down, and so I have arrived. I'm going to close up the windows and pray for safety for our team. Work has been canceled. Some of our team members, like I said, are overseas, so they're going to have to find out how to work overseas. And of course, our different branches are on high alert, and thank you for everyone who has contacted our branches in Germany and the UK and in Ireland and France and Brazil and America, United States, Canada, and South Korea. Just really been thankful for the outpouring of love and support. Of course, we still have the Israel Needs Me campaign going on, which is supporting the families, the soldiers here and their families, and different needs that have arisen because of the war. So we don't know how long this is going to go. We did have a few people that were like, it's we got a flight in 2 weeks, and we hope this will blow over. And I was like, only in Israel do we start something was called a war and bomb nuclear facilities and hope that our flight in 2 weeks will be relevant. Because of course, El Al doesn't cancel flights, but the airport is shut down right now, and so we'll see what happens the days ahead, and we'll keep you updated. And thank you for caring. One of our staff was just sharing about the peace of Jerusalem, and when the scriptures say pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and in Hebrew it's shalu shalom Yerushalayim, when shalu is really ask. So it's not just ask the Lord for the peace of Jerusalem, but ask about the peace of Jerusalem. And so I really encourage you guys, if you have people that you know in Israel that you're in contact with, reach out to them, ask how they're doing. Sometimes this is scary. Sometimes we're just used to it, and we're just kind of like, yeah. The last 2 times we were bombed from Iran, it was the most incredibly intense experience of the skies shaking. And if you have not experienced it yourself, I don't even know how to describe it to you, except for picture thunder. Picture that 100 times over, and picture it constant, like thunder that goes on and on for several minutes in a row. Very intense. And but the bottom line is, of all the things that are going on, the one thing that we know is that Israel will be here in the end. It is something that was promised. I don't know if our home will be here in the end. I don't know if the car will survive. We do know that Am Yisrael Chai forever. Until next time, I'm Shani from Jerusalem.